All right, gentlemen, this one's for you. Those boys, they're awesome kids, but they need some help. Because as the teachers at the school were telling me, especially those 6th grade boys, there's like 4 or 5 of them who could kind of be the leader of the group, who could kind of take that alpha role, but it's not been defined yet. So there's all this tension, all these great kids, but they're all kind of pushing and pulling at each other all the time. We want to help get all of that tension into a place where they can be strong men directed to God, virtue, and awesome friendships. So, how are we going to do this? How are we going to take a step towards this? Instead of talking about confirmation this weekend, I want you guys to actually focus on manhood. And you can take your unique approach to it. If you've got a story about what real manhood looked like in your life, I encourage you to start by sharing that. But I know when I taught this to the 7th grade boys last year, odd thing that I was teaching them, but when I did, we started by just asking them to make a list of what a real man looks like, right? If you were to look at someone and say, dude, that guy's legit, that's a real man, what would it look like? And the kids came up with a list, and it was a pretty superficial list, to be honest. They had things on there like he has to have good hair, and he has to have a good smolder. They thought that was so funny. But they were serious about it. They knew exactly who in their grade and who didn't had a good smolder. But they also had things like strong and courageous, brave. And those were the things that at the end of the day stood out more. I'm not sure if that's a good strategy for you guys. You know men better than I do, I hope. But what I want you to focus on instead of confirmation at this upcoming time is manhood. And I hope that that will actually be based on a personal story of figuring out what real manhood looked like in your life. But if you need a couple other takes on it, the couple other takes I was thinking of was through sports. Like, what does it look like to be a good athlete without having to like push other people down or always win? Like, what does it look like to be an athlete who's capable of losing well and still has respect and dignity at the end of a game? Or what does it look like to be a good friend without always having to kind of make jokes that push your other friends down? I'm not a dude, so this is really poorly defined, but I hope I'm giving you at least some semblance of what you could talk to the boys about this time. For the boys especially, I'd encourage you to play Ninja instead of Aunt Jemima, and really focus on the like winning well, losing well, and not cheating, listening to the rules, being honest, being the guy who's like, oh yeah, you got my hand, that's it, I'm out, and being straight up, being the sort of guy who wins the respect of everyone around him because he has integrity, because he has inner strength, and he doesn't feel like he always needs to prove his strength to other people by winning or always having the joke or always being smarter than other people or whatever it is. So, in summary, if you need a gimmick or something to kind of do, I encourage you can have the boys make a list of what it is to be a true man and kind of talk through those things with them. But more ideally, instead of the list, I would prefer it if you guys would actually tell a story about figuring out what real manhood looked like in your life, maybe some misconceptions you had early on, and those experiences, those formative experiences that taught you what it was to be a true man. And then work on the boys through an activity like Ninja, something silly, something easy, on just acting it out, living with respect, being those honorable guys with that interior strength, not always focused on the exterior and stuff like that. I hope that helps. Best of luck.